Hi friends, and welcome to Creatively Montessori. Friends, I wanted to share with you today the books that I have for Groundhog's Day. It has historically been a difficult holiday for me to find children's books for. I know it's not a super big holiday, we don't get the day off or anything, but I do like to expose young children, toddlers, preschoolers, and early elementary children to holidays that are celebrated not only in the United States, but also around the world, because I think they hear about it on the news or they hear about it on the radio, and I want to help give them context. So I have a few books that I have in my collection. Groundhog Gets a Say, Go to Sleep, Little Groundhog, It's Groundhog's Day, Go to Sleep, Groundhog, and 10 Grouchy Groundhogs. So I'll just go over each of them really quickly for you, and then you can decide if they are books that you would like to add to your collection or borrow from the library. These are all books that I have under my sister channel, so you can check them out if you'd like to. It's Book a Day for Little Learners. Each of these books I've read, and I always do vocabulary building and some comprehension questions. The first one I'll talk about is 10 Grouchy Groundhogs. So I talk about social emotional with this, and it's like 10 little monkeys, or 10 in a bed. And so it's 5 in a bed, 4 in a bed, and they each do something. And so then at the end, well, they go outside, they see their shadow, and then they return inside. It's a cute little book. Very simple. For sure, it's something you could read with toddlers or preschoolers. Even, kindergarten would enjoy it as well. It's Groundhog Day. It's a slightly weird story. It's not what I thought it would be. It's really not about Groundhog's Day much at all. There is a problem that Groundhog and his friends celebrate Groundhog's Day. They don't celebrate. He's getting ready for Groundhog's Day at the beginning of the story. And one of the people who is a friend of his is a raccoon, and the raccoon owns a ski lodge business. And so he hears them talking about when the groundhog will come out, and he doesn't want him to come out and see. He wants him to come out, and he wants there to be 6 more weeks of winter. So he doesn't want spring to come too early. So he goes into his den, he goes to sleep. The other friends, go through the different seasons. And when he wakes up, he actually gets kidnapped. He actually gets kidnapped. Puts him into a burlap bag and slings him over his shoulder. So I don't know that I love this story for young children. I do think it's a good opportunity to talk about good choices and bad choices. And when I read it out to the friends, I'm like, I think he's making a poor choice. And so the groundhog ends up gnawing his way out of the bag, and he escapes, and he gets him back, and he ends up gnawing his way out of the ropes, and he gets him back. And then he digs his way out, and the raccoon goes after him. It does have a happy ending. He comes out near his original home, and his friends are there waiting. And he says, I was kidnapped by a rolling raccoon. And so then they get him. And then they're like, we're going to sit on you. So again, I talk about good choices and bad choices. And then I think it's the rabbit, recommends that he, when his ski business is not doing well or, not in session, that he do something at the beach instead. And they say that as punishment, the raccoon needs to let them all ski for free for the rest of the season. So in the end, everybody's happy. It's just a slightly strange story. Then they all went to the beach, and he opened a hot dog stand at the beach. So you can make your decisions about that one. Groundhog Gets a Say. Actually, I don't know if this was my favorite of the group, but I did enjoy this one. Groundhog comes out, and he's kind of grumpy. He looks kind of aggressive, doesn't he? Because he talks about what he's named. He's called a whistle pig. He's called a woodchuck. He goes through the woodchuck poem and, about being dirty. And then you find out that he is related to a squirrel, which upsets the squirrel. What did he just say? He can't be in my family. Part of the humor of this book are the other characters, the squirrel, the crow, and I think he's a mole. He's either a mole or he's another groundhog. Anyway, it has some adult humor in it. And so you for sure could share this with lower elementary. They would get some of the humor that will go right over toddler and preschoolers' heads. So he just talks about all the things that you know, I'm amazing. You do actually learn quite a few things about groundhogs, which is one of the reasons that I like this, including that they get a mate, and how scientists are studying them to see if they could somehow take whatever it is that happens to groundhogs when they hibernate and use it for astronauts going into outer space. So there is some really good information entwined in this story, which is probably why I liked it. And then this little guy says, we're going to start Operation Groundhog immediately. And he then writes this book, Groundhog Appreciation Month, and it's this book. So again, there are lots of things in here that I really do like. And then outside they're having the groundhog sign it that I do like very much about this story. I think I probably would enjoy this story more than a preschooler would, but that's important. You have to enjoy the story as you're reading, right? Go to Sleep Groundhog and Go to Sleep Little Groundhog. I was like, ooh, those are really close titles, aren't they? But they're two very different books aesthetically. Go to Sleep Groundhog is this little groundhog who can't go to sleep. He's having trouble going to sleep. And so he falls asleep and he wakes up and he's like, I'll just go for a walk. And he goes for a walk and it's Halloween. So he hasn't slept all through the winter. And of course he sees things that he's never seen before. And then he goes back to the witch takes him home. She reads him a book. She gives him apple cider. And so this continues throughout Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And then he finally falls asleep. There's Christmas. Santa's involved in this story. He finally wakes up in February when he's supposed to. And then he sees his shadow. So he's like, oh, I'm going right back to sleep. And so he goes back to bed. So again, and there's a whole bunch about Groundhog's Day. That's a story I enjoyed. Thought that was cute. And then the last one I'll share with you is Go to Sleep Little Groundhog. I particularly like the illustrations in this book. And this is the one about, he again doesn't want to go to sleep. And so he has a goat that he goes out with. And then the ermine comes up with the suggestion of how he can go to sleep. And then the lizard suggests a way for him to fall asleep. And of course, nothing works. And then a rabbit tries to tell him how to go to sleep. And then a cricket comes in. And the cricket, because they're allowing him to come in with them and keep warm, he actually plays music, which wakes everybody up, but puts him to sleep. So again, just a very sweet story that introduces other animals. I did like this one because it's animals that you don't often see. Like goat, okay, that's pretty common, but an ermine, I didn't feel like it was common. I don't feel like there are that many children's stories that includes a cricket. And then again, at the end, it included some great information about groundhogs. So I hope that gives you some idea of some pieces of literature and whether you do or do not want to use them in your setting, whether it's home, childcare, church, preschool, Montessori program, whatever program it is. I hope that you enjoyed learning about the Groundhog books, and I hope that you can hit that thumbs up like and that you subscribe to our channel so that you can see more of our Montessori videos. I'd love to hear if there's a different Groundhog book that you like or that you feel like is a favorite that I should add to this grouping. And I will see you around next time.